Alright, hey yaga ho guys. Once again, unfortunately, no driving in cars or any sort of segments for this. Camcorder's still MIA. So we still have just more TCGO and talking. But today we're talking about regionals. This is my first regionals since 2005 in the Hidden Legends On format. So it had been quite a while since I've been to a tournament that was going to be this big. And I think we wound up having like 205 or so Masters at the start and like 160 or so at the end. I believe Rayquaza Electric Mirror was the finals, so there's that. But anyway, of course, this video we're going to discuss briefly, since I decided to play Blastoise Keldeo with Black Kooper X, so I'm just going to quickly gloss over this deck. You guys probably don't need me to explain too much about it. But yeah, one of the weird little quirks I decided to do was, I'm going to predict myself to go even, which I was expecting 8 rounds, so I was expecting 4 and 4. And, regionals is a 2-day event with the top 16. I think you play, Swiss and then top 32 day 1, and then you break for the night and then come back and do top 16. I was pretty confident I was not going to get top 16. So as a result, I did not bother to book a hotel or anything like that, and actually woke up like, I think 10 p.m. or so the night before, and just kind of stayed up, drove 5 hours over to Athens, and then tournament, and drove 5 or 6 hours back after almost getting lost. And so I was kind of awake for about 26 or so hours. But it was worth it, I guess, to save on the hotel, so at least I predicted that correctly. So I went into the tournament not expecting to win. How about that? Anyway, so let me jump into this deck here. So the way I kind of went about this testing was, if you saw back there, conventional Blastoise Keldeo right here. This deck, I kind of like peeled a list from somewhere and sort of took it, bounced between it and my however I had it built, and sort of adopted concepts from the more traditional build, I guess, into mine to try to make it a little bit less silly. So anyway, let's see what we have here. Well, we wound up with a pretty conventional Blastoise line, 403. At some point, I started wanting to just run the 3 Squirtles because, I don't want to open with Lone Squirtle. If I have less Squirtles, that's less chance to open with Lone Squirtle. But ultimately, I decided to go back to 4 for reasons. 3 Keldeo, I think this is a fairly standard amount. Yeah, you typically need to get 2 down, but maybe don't need the 3rd one. And we do have, I'll go ahead and say we do have a Revive in this deck, so it's kind of gonna help have +1 of whichever one of these basics we want. Black Kooper X is, of course, the hard hitter from Plasma Storm with Black Ballista. One-shots anything in the game not named Giant Cape, Aspertia City Gym, Tornado CX, things like that. And the last minute, or last day before, I guess, throw-in was Black Kooper. When I started out, I was pretty much content. You know what? I'm not gonna tech anything for Plasma Klinklang. I'm not going to throw any Victini, Moltres, none of that in there. I was just content to either A, auto loss, or B, maybe Blastoise pull something off. I don't know. But I forget where I think at States some people were actually discussing this. And this actually, I think, became a fairly, it certainly wasn't uncommon to see in Blastoise, Keldeo, Black Kooper decks. This guy, of course, Flash Freeze, he's not an EX, 130 HP, it's on par with the rest of the Unova Dragons. And Flash Freeze, sort of a, cheaper version, or not cheaper, but, half the damage of Black Ballista, but also less discardy of the energy cards. And, it does 100 damage to Cobalion, does 100 damage to Klinklang, so probably better than the, the little Keldeo, the Hydro Pump, that only has 110 HP. But if it had just been for Klinklang, I probably would not have thrown him in. What made me decide to keep him was actually, well, for one thing, Mirror. I mean, Flash Freeze, one-shots Black Kooper X, and also Rayquaza Electric, which I think I mentioned was the winning deck. It was certainly very popular down there. Flash Freeze also scores a one-shot on Rayquaza EX, which the other attackers in the deck have a difficult time doing. Keldeo has to stack a bajillion energies on him, and Black Kooper, yeah, has to do 400 to one-shot him. So That's why I wound up deciding to keep him in, and definitely something I really like in the deck now, at least in the present format, which is now the past format, since we got Plasma Freeze coming up. But anyway, energy line I think is fairly standard. We got 14 total, 11 water, 3 lightning. Didn't really have any energy problems, significant energy problems during testing. Didn't really have any all day either. There was certainly a time or two where I wish I had one more, but I don't think I would add another one for. I don't think I would remove any card for another water energy or anything like that. In particular, I like this amount of lightning energy. I don't think I ever really had a problem fulfilling the lightning cost for Black Ballista or even for Flash Freeze. So 3 lightning I think is definitely a great amount. It was enough that I was consistently able to get up Black Ballista while not hurting my secret swords too much for having. There were a few times where I had to throw the lightning as the 3rd energy just to get the attack off, but you know, still hitting for 90 is not terrible. It's still the kind of the magic number. So let's jump into the trainers really quick. So for N, you know, oftentimes I'll find myself playing 2 Ns on the first 2 or 3 turns, and you know, I'd kind of like to save some of those for late game so I can, you know, just use them for more disruption rather than just the shuffle draw. And so I decided to go with that. You know, shuffle draw is going to be important when we've got stuff like rare candies we want to conserve. Juniper, I think I mentioned in the States video, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with her. Started out with just 1 copy and gradually worked my way up to 3. You know, most lists I think probably run 4. But I decided to throw the brakes on at 3. Wound up being pretty good. I'm probably sold on 3 Juniper now. I kind of had to get over my discard averseness with this deck, I suppose. I'm actually kind of surprised I only got 3 Skyla, but I think the 4th Skyla came out to make room for this Black Kyurem, and overall I think that was a pretty good call. You know, Skyla's great, but 4 I think might have been a little bit overboard, so I liked being at 3. Silent, of course, is in my opinion a must-have 1, and that's all. In this deck, just slurp up some energies out of the deck. Typically, I think 2 would be too much, just because by the time you play your second one, you probably might not even have 3 basic energies left in the deck. But you know, it's great. You know, it can get out the lightnings for Black Kyurem, or just boom, there's enough energy to Secret Sword. You know, good for what ails you. And then with the addition of the 4th Squirtle and the Black Kyurem, I felt a lot better about playing 1 Colress, sort of as a 4th Juniper, if you will. That you know, it's not going to be as consistently good, but it does have the potential to be better, and the big thing is it doesn't discard my hand. So I think this was pretty good. I think I always got 5 or 7 cards off of it, so I liked having the 1 Colress. And then you know, I wanted to throw in 2 more, just okay, here's a supporter. So you know, your most generic bland supporter you got out there right now is probably Shirin. So didn't want to do Bianca. At some point I just decided, you know what, I don't like Bianca anymore. It's a supporter that if I have this in my hand, I can still have a dead hand. I do not like supporters that if I have them in my hand, I still have a dead hand. I do not like that concept. So Shirin does not do that. Bianca can do that. So as for the items, we have 3 energy retrieval. I got to play my awesome reverse foil legendary collection ones, but these don't look as cool. But 3 energy retrieval I think is a fairly pretty solid amount. Not too many that you draw into them, because this can be a dead card. But you know, it can be a dead card, but it can also be a game-winning card. So I think 3 was probably a good amount for that. Going along with the item, not going to run anything to counter Plasma Clang. Catcher is probably one of the best things to actually use against Plasma Clang. So I decided to go, yes, we're definitely running 4 Catcher. Sometimes I decided to run this deck with 3, but 4 I think is the way to go. That needs any argument, really. Just being able to Catcher, harass Kling Klang, you know, maybe get it stuck active, who knows. You know, just being able to bring it up and deal damage to it is paramount. It's also, you know, pretty nice to be able to Catcher up Garbodor, which is another big thorn in Blastoise's side, although we've got stuff for that. Decided to only go with 3 rare candy. 4 I just felt like that's going to be too much dead weight. And I hated that I only had 3 Skyla along with the 3 candy. Ordinarily I have 3 candy for Skyla, but I think it wound up being alright. As I think I mentioned earlier, we do have Revive. This is I originally only had 1 Ultra Ball in here, and I had 2 Revive, and that was because Revive was sort of like my cost-free Ultra Ball, because I also had 2 Heavy Ball for Blastoise and or Black Kooper. So Revive's nice. You can discard a poke and you can bring it back out without having to Ultra Ball for it later, and discard cards for it. So I really like I think I like Revive being at 1. I think that's a great amount, because this can also be a dead card, kind of like Energy Retrieval. But it can also be a excellent card for getting back whatever you need out of your discard pile. So as for Pokemon Search, segueing into that, originally I only had 1 Ultra Ball, but I finally caved in and decided, yeah, it's going to get a shiny reprint, so I may as well go ahead and stock up on them. So I went ahead and got a playset. Wound up only playing 2, and then 1 Heavy Ball, oh, there it is, since that does get Blastoise as well as Black Kooper. And then probably the card in the deck that I was least, I thought had the greatest chance I would end up cutting it, would probably be Level Ball, since that's only good for Squirtle. But I really do like that option to, I gotta get a Squirtle down this turn. Even if it's just 1, Skyla for Level Ball, Skyla for Ultra Ball for a thing I can Level Ball for. For whatever reason, Skyling for Ultra Ball, like needing to Ultra Ball for something you can Level Ball for, is more painful to me than Ultra Balling for something you can Heavy Ball for. I'm not sure why, but it is. So there's that. So I think that pretty much covers. Okay, we got our A-Spec Scramble Switch. This card is so much fun. It is just so much fun. It allows you to get Crazy Way and cause some hijinks. I don't think I had too many like super amazing plays with it, but it was definitely awesome when I needed it to be. And I don't really think there were too many times where I wished it was a computer search. Maybe one point I wished it was a dowsing machine, but I really like the Scramble Switch. I think this is the last item card in here. Super Scoop Up. I hate running this deck without healing. I hate knowing that any damage I take is gonna stick. So since I do have Scramble Switch, Max Potion is definitely a possibility, but I just like the overall versatility of Super Scoop Up. It can function as a Scramble Switch and a Max Potion if Blastoise is already in play, or it can just return the energy back to my hand to deluge elsewhere. It's got more options than Max Potion. It's not guaranteed, but I favor the versatility over the reliability, I guess. So I think I do like Super Scoop Up over Max Potion, despite having Scramble Switch. If I were to add a second copy of either Super Scoop or Max Potion, I think I would, if I had another slot, I would probably throw in Max Potion instead of a second Super Scoop, but because that's what I like to do. I like to throw a bunch of one-ofs in here. But then probably the most important metagame call I made was throwing 2 Tool Scrappers in here. One I think is almost mandatory. I decided to go with 2, and I think that was a great call because both the Garbodor decks, I played 2 or 3 Garbodor decks. Garbodor was, for the most part, a non-factor. I mean, I had to, do some stuff to get rid of it, but I think that balances out with them having to do some stuff to get it out. So really, Garbodor did not bother me all day. I think I won 1 and lost 1 against Garbodor, but that was more due to the power of Big Basics than it was Garbodor really harrying me. So 2 Tool Scrapper was great, getting rid of Rescue Scarves, all that good stuff. And I think with that, we are done discussing the deck. So most of you probably were already pretty darn aware of what this deck does, but there it is in case you wanted to see the exact list I ran. And most of these games, thankfully, did not go to time, so I was able to get some pretty good notes. Let's jump into that now. Alright, so Regionals was in Athens, Georgia, right outside the University of Georgia campus, and I think things were scheduled to open registration at like 8:30 or so. So as I crossed the border over into Georgia, I think there was a sign that said, "Georgia's the adventure state," and yep, this trip rounded up being quite an adventure with 10 or 11 hours of driving without sleep. So anyway, long drives aside, I was actually a little bit later than I wanted to be getting there. I think I didn't get there until like 9:20 or so, and registration ended at 9:45. So got out of the car and parked and then got out of the car in that order. Yes, please. And fortunately, I already had my deck list printed out because I'm smart like that. and so I was just able to run, find the place, get in line, and I think I actually had to order my deck while I was in line to make it match the deck list. But I don't think that actually wound up mattering because we didn't really do. I don't think we did. At least not everyone evidently got a formal deck check done. I think we just had random deck checks during the day, and they just counted out 60, confirmed the sleeve condition was all right, all that stuff. And so yeah, that didn't take too long. Very nice registration process. Like people were blazing through lines. So I was very pleased at how efficient that was done. But anyway, so kind of have a little lull. And go around, talk to people, I guess. And then round one, we guess we'll just go first names. That's what we'd be doing. Versus Michael with Rayquaza Electric. And opening hand is Keldeo, Blastoise, Rare Candy, Skyla, Ultra Ball, at least one energy retrieval, and also the regular Black Kyurem. Now, as I think I just mentioned, Rayquaza is one of the matchups where I decided that I wanted to have Black Kyurem for, because Flash Freeze one-shots things that are weak to Dragon. But turn one, I get to go first. I got to go first like almost every round too, so I was really lucky. I decided to Skyla for an N so I could refresh my hand on the next turn. Then I Ultra Balled away, Energy Retrieval, and this Black Kyurem. I kind of hated to do that since I kind of wanted to bench it, but I guess I didn't really want to throw away the candy before I've got a Blastoise out. And I guess that was about the only thing I could afford to discard. And of course I do have Revive, so if I can get that, I can peel him back out of the discard pile, so he can come back from the dead. I also didn't really want him to go out that early because he is kind of an easy target, I guess. I mean, Rayquaza still has to discard 2 energy to knock him out, since he's got that nice 130 instead of 120. But whatever. I get out of Squirtle with the Ultra Ball, and I think that's about it for me. Don't have energy to drop, so he just goes, attaches a fire to Ray, benches a second one, and passes. So play the N. I'm able to get a turn 2 Blastoise, and I actually get enough energy to Secret Sword him for 90. So turn 2 Secret Sword. It's not a very common thing for me, I guess, but only get the 90 because I have to have 1 Lightning. But that's fine at 2 KOs anyway. So with that, I'm able to get some early pressure, but eventually he's able to get enough energy manually built on a Rayquaza while also slowly getting some eels out, and knocks out a Keldeo. He actually does it not all in one go, which usually when you attack with Rayquaza you want to get the boom 180, knock him out in one hit, but he actually went with Dragon Burst, and then for 120, and then for follow up with a 60 on the next turn. So I think I had Keldeo. I think at some point I guess I got out another one, but at some point I'm actually forced to use Blastoise, and I'm down to 1 prize. I think I maybe knocked out an Eel or an Emolga or something like that too. And there was one point where he had I think no energy on his field, attached to the fire, double Dynamotored, and wanted to attach to the Lightning, but fortunately I was on that like a hawk, because I was like, yeah, that thing needs to not Dragon Burst me for 180 this turn, or because Toys has enough to live a 2 energy Dragon Burst, not a 3. So I was definitely on top of my game for that. Probably just an honest mistake in the heat of the moment, but anyway. I think he needed a switch in order to. I think he maybe had a something other active. Maybe an Eel, I'm not sure, but anyway, he didn't get it, so he wasn't able to knock out Toys. I got another Squirtle down actually, and I think he had a Baby Ray. He had Dragon Vault Rayquaza thrown down, and I think I actually had 5 energy on Blastoise, and had 1 prize left. If I had 1 more, I would have been able to knock out this thing and claim the game right there, but I was only able to do 100 to it, so I think I just put my extra energy on the Squirtle or something in case I had to. I believe he had 2 prizes, so I could still stand to have a Blastoise get knocked out. But after that hit for 100, I think he had 2 Rayquazas that I think had 90 damage on them, as well as the Rayquaza here I just hit. And then of course Electric has less than 100, so he throws down an N at 2-1, and I draw an N off my into 1, and he gets a fire and a computer search, but computer search has a discard cost in order to use it, so he was kind of one card away, wasn't able to use it, so I'm just able to shoot him up with a hydro pump for the win. So round 2, this is John Orgel, I believe. He actually had an article for 6 prizes recently, so I kind of recognize the name, and I'm pretty sure it was a Big Basics. I'm pretty sure that this was who it was, and I'm pretty sure he had Big Basics, and Big Basics is not going to show up anything at TCGO. But anyway, so I start out with Black Kyurem, which is not really my favorite Black Kyurem EX. At some point I started calling him Big Black and Little Black. You know, not exactly my favorite starter, but whatever. So once again, I went first. Skyland for Level Ball, for Squirtle. I already had 2 in my hand, so I didn't need to get any extra supporters. You know, since it what did he start with? Oh, he started with 220 to CX, so I was pretty scared for Catcher KO Squirtle, but you know, that was the only way I had to get even have a Squirtle out and have a chance for a turn 2 Blastoise, so I decided I was going to take it. And I just wound up attaching a Water to Black Kyurem and passing. So he's got 220 to CX, throws out a Verbank. Fortunately, however, no laser and no DCE either. He just has to attach Fighting to Tornado Bro and pass. So, you know, anytime Big Basics does not get any sort of attack off on turn 1, I'm immediately wiping my brow. So I go for my N, and unfortunately don't get a turn 2 Blastoise, and I don't think I get another Squirtle down either. So second turn, however, he is able to catch her and blow through to knock out the Squirtle. He actually had to Skyla for energy. I think he Skyla for energy, search for energy. So he's still not coming into the double colorless very well. So about the only thing I've got to hit him with now is, well, Black Kyurem's Slash. That's not what High Sand Slash. No, Black Kyurem's Slash for 60. You know, not exactly the best attack, but sometimes it's the only thing you can use. So, so we just kind of trade 60s between a Slash and a Blow Through. Meanwhile, he gets a Bouffalon out with a DCE, and this is, of course, dangerous that I just took 60, and now he's got a Bouffalon that can deal enough to finish off Black Kyurem, so this is kind of dangerous. Colress comes in, gets me 6 cards, and now I get some stuff going on. I get bench up with 2 Squirtle, 2 Keldeo, and a backup Black Kyurem EX. Next turn, I guess I slash him for 60 more to bring Tornadus to 120 damage, and he retreats into Bouffalon. And takes the KO. I believe he also max potions Tornadus EX. So that's all my damage was for naught, and all his damage was for something. I believe at some point in here also he also you know, I throw down 2 Squirtle. He also catchers and KOs a Squirtle with Gold Breaker for 60. So but I am actually able to get out Blastoise now, and I get 4 energy stacked on Keldeo, which is enough to do enough. Yes, 130, which will knock out Bouffalon through the Booffer ability. And oh yes, I also kind of luck sacked into my Blastoise because I top decked a rare candy, and I already had an Ultra Ball, so that was pretty nice. And then I had a last card in when it was at 6-3, so that was a pretty nice turn. I also get a Silent, I believe, off that in after I get the Toys out. So I've got 3 energy waiting in the wings and 3 more in the hand. So that's how I got the 130. Or no, that was okay. I can't play 2 supporters in one turn. But anyways, somehow or another, I got 3 energy on Keldeo and was able to one-shot the Bouffalon. He does, however, have Mewtwo. Some of these big basic decks actually have stopped playing Mewtwo. They just go Landorus, Bouffalon, Tornadus. But he comes up with Mewtwo and Laser Bank for a total of 150 damage, and at this point I think he's got, I forget if he's got 3 or 2 prizes left, but this Keldeo is definitely a liability right now. So I got a bench Black Kyurem EX with a Lightning, and there we go, Scramble Switch, getting crazy way, and going into Black Kyurem, I'm able to just Ballista on the Mewtwo, and actually I hold on to my second Lightning in my hand, just in case there's a follow-up X-Ball or something like that. So I've got a Water and a Lightning left on the Black Kyurem, and I believe, and then I draw a water and a lightning off the prizes actually. So I've actually got enough at this point. I believe I may actually be down to 2 prizes. No, it's we're at 3-2 now, and yeah, I think I knocked out a Boufflant. Yes, knocked out Boufflant, then knocked out Mewtwo with Black Ballista. So we're at 3-2. After he knocked out the Squirtle, I think he hasn't knocked out Keldeo yet. Squirtle, Black Kyurem, and I think something else, maybe. Some other one prize Pokemon, I suppose. And so, despite getting the water and lightning, he ends me. But off my 3 cards of N, I get Juniper. So, Juniper, and I actually hit all 3 energy retrievals. So, nice and shiny foil. I wish I could bring those up, but get all 3 of those, and I just slurp up 6 energy from the discard pile. Drop 3 on a fresh Keldeo. Drop 3 in a lightning on Black Kyurem, and go ahead and Ultra Ball away Squirtle and Toys just to thin. Bench a 3rd Keldeo out of my hand in case he ends again. Shouldn't really need anything, but I Ballista and go down to 1, knocking out, I think it was a Tornadus EX. But he actually made a great move, even though he's up against Blastoise. He still put down a Landorus, and I don't know if he had to computer search for the fighting or not, but he was able to get the fighting, and that Keldeo with 150 on it wound up to be my undoing, as he was able to Hammerhead and knock it out. I think he actually captured it up, but that wouldn't have mattered. He could have knocked out with the bench damage as well. So really close game, just a 0-1 loss, and after this we got lunchtime, where I think I just run out to the car and snack on my cheesy crackers. Alright, moving into round 3, and probably the #1 most popular deck in this tournament was, I'd say probably without a doubt, was Big Basics. At least if you combine Big Basics and Big Basics with Garbodor, which makes it even more surprising that Rayquaza Electric was able to win. But anyway, so Big Basics again, and start out with a Squirtle, and he mulligans, so I mulligan draw and draw another Squirtle, so I bench that, and then on top of that, I top deck Level Ball. So I think I actually play that, and I don't know if I think I actually do throw down a 3rd Squirtle. So I pretty much say, you know what, you're not gonna knock out all my Squirtles. I'm gonna get Blastoise out at some point in this game. But anyway, I am in fact able to get out turn 2 Blastoise, and once again, kind of like last round, not exactly a strong opening from Big Basics. Ordinarily I fully expect the turn 1 blow through or Hammerhead, lasers, things like that. But kind of a slow startup actually, and he actually has some Crushing Hammer in his deck, but I believe he fails. He throws down 2 of those, as I think I've got a Keldeo or something up, and fails out 2 of those, but he does put out Verbank. So I get Keldeo, and I think I'm actually, I think I do get triple water, so I am able to attack into a Boufflant, but unfortunately that only does 90 on Booffer, but let's see, what after that? I think maybe he knocks out my Keldeo, I guess, and he actually does something kind of smart. He retreats the Boufflant with 90 on it for a Tornadus, but because my plan is kind of to, at this point he's only got 2 Pokemon in play, just the Tornadus and the Boufflant. I want to use Slash to knock out the Boufflant, and then I'll still have my energy on there to Black Ballista and take out the Tornado. So that's kind of my game plan. Maybe I can bench him. But he does retreat, so fortunately, however, I do have a catcher, so I'm still able to kind of get that Ballista in play and take a prize. But then, kind of a big thing here is he Hypnotoxic lasers me, and I don't know if it's which is actually the more hated part of Hypno, the poison, the auto poison, or the sleep. Seems like that sleep crops up more often than it should, but I guess it's gonna happen 25% of the time, right? So I stay asleep on Hypnotoxic, and I Skylo for a revive, and revive proves its worth. It allows me to get down a Keldeo that got knocked out, so I'm able to rush in, and I'm a little bit fuzzy on notes here, but I don't know if I'm able to actually get an attack off that turn or not. I think I might actually get the attack off. But anyway, some more stuff happens. He gets down to 2 prizes. He has a Mewtwo down. I'm also at 2 prizes. And final turn, I guess. I've got a Juniper, and I play it, and he thinks I played 2 supporters, but you know, we were able to count cards and kind of reconstruct my hand, and discover that at some point during the turn, or at the start of the turn, after I drew, I had 8 cards in the hand, and obviously if I had 8 cards in the hand, you know, there's no way I could have played a Juniper at that point. So we determined that nope, there's no way I could have had a Juniper. I think I had Juniper on the previous turn, so you know, certainly some blur and confusion there. But glad we got that taken care of, and we're able to confirm that in fact I did not play 2 supporters in that turn. But anyway, I was able to catch out the Mewtwo. I counted how much energy I had in play in the discard pile, and I had maybe about 10 cards left in my deck, and I decided, you know, I probably got about 7 energy cards in there. I think I only needed like maybe 1 or 2 energy cards to pull off the Ballista, and I was able to knock out Mewtwo for the game. So moving into round 4 versus Tim, and here we go, more big basics. That one, however, did not have Garbodor. This one did, and this one was actually kind of interesting because at first I thought he had a little bit of a troll deck that I came up with a while back, which was just Virizion, Noble Victories, and Garbodor, just there to completely troll Keldeo Blastoise. But he actually mulliganed 3 times, so I got to see a lot of stuff about his deck as a result of that. And on top of that, then I got to go first. So he opened up with Virizion, and here I make a stupid error. I throw down a Level Ball, get out a Squirtle, attach a Lightning to my active Black Kyurem, and in. Now, what did I miss doing there, folks? I missed benching the Squirtle. Derp. So I draw 1 off in, and bench it, and you know, I think he just got the Virizion, so I'm not really feeling too much pressure. I don't feel the need to try to get down a second Squirtle. But he attaches Fighting to Virizion, drops a Mewtwo and a Landorus, and just double draws. And this is about the time I realized, you know what, I think I wasted my Level Ball right there. So now, kind of fearing a Leaf Wallop, I decide, you know what, I'm going to go and get down this second Squirtle. So I do so. I have to discard 2 things to get out Squirtle now. And I'm kind of kicking myself at this point, especially since I know he's got some Garbodors, so I'm going to have to be, you know, wary with my Tool Scrappers and stuff like that. And I actually have to Silent just to drop the energy on Black Kyurem and at least try to maybe pull off a Slash on the next turn. So he ends me, which, you know, gets rid of my energy from Silent, but I kind of had a dead hand outside that anyway, so I don't mind that too bad. Throws down double colors on Mewtwo and just continues to double draw, build his hand. Fortunately, this ends me into a Candy and an Ultra Ball, so I'm able to get out Blastoise, catch her out Landorus, and a Juniper. And unfortunately, however, I only get 2 energy off this, so I'm actually not able to attack for whatever reason. I thought I could maybe I did a Slash or something, but anyway, wasn't able to Ballista at any rate. So he switches, plays Switch, and comes in and Leaf Wallops. Maybe this was on, I think this might have actually been on a Keldeo. I think I rushed in, and I was going to try to go for the Secret Sword knockout on Landorus. That might have been it. But, so yeah, he switches back into Virizion, and he actually has to Skyla for a computer search, and then has to computer search for what wound up to be a Grass. Just to be able to Leaf Wallop. So, I think earlier he had a, no, this was me. Go-Go Notes being out of order. Before I Junipered earlier, I knocked a Scarf off of one of his Trubbishes. So there was my first Tool Scrapper down that arguably kind of wasted, but whatever. You know, at least it did get a tool out of play without, so I didn't completely waste it. At least 1 tool down. So, anyway, he hits me with 80. And, great, now the notes are out of order. Anyway, so I think I had a Catcher in my hand, with Keldeo going on. Actually, I think this was right after I took 80 from Leaf Wallop. So I Skylit for my second Scrapper, and then I Scrappered. This allowed me, I think, to maybe deluge some more energy on there. And then Also got rid of his rescue scarf, so he wasn't able to bring. I don't think he had another Trubbish down, so he wasn't able to bring Garbodor back to his hand when I knocked it out, which is always a nice thing, making it more difficult to chain Garbodors. So Tool Scrapper. I think that was my last Tool Scrapper, but I decided that's probably worth it. He's gonna have at least, I'm gonna have 2 more turns of abilities after this, because he's gonna at best bench a Trubbish. I'm gonna get it. Maybe not 2 more turns, but anyway, he's going to be hard-pressed to get another Garbodor out. It's not going to be easy, because now I'm going to be able to maybe pick off a Trubbish, depending on how, since he had Virizion and some other stuff, maybe he didn't have a very thick Garbodor line. That's definitely possible. So also, by virtue of capturing Virizion to the bench, that negates Leaf Wallop's plus damage. Any effect of an attack gets negated whenever the Pokemon goes to the bench. So Virizian's Leaf Wallop is now back to only doing a base damage of 40, so it does not knock out really much of anything except for a Squirtle. Next turn, after I take 80 more, I decide to catch or KO the Landorus and get down to 3 prizes. So this is when he hits me for 80 again, I think, and brings Keldeo up to 160. And throws in a Trubbish with a Rescue Scarf. And I look at the number of cards in his hand, and he's got no cards in his hand. So I've got an N and a Juniper. And I decide, yep, we're going to go with a Juniper here for sure. Rip my 4th catcher, and I go ahead and use that on Trubbish. But I actually knock it out by retreating, and retreating Keldeo and energy retrievaling to use Slash. Sometimes Keldeo having the 2 retreat costs is actually not so bad, because it gets 2 energy in the discard pile, and then I can energy retrieval them back. And he was playing the 60 HP Trubbish, which, there's arguments for both. 70 HP, of course, is more. I think typically you see this one as the 70 HP one, although I'm really not sure which one is the best. If this one had 70 HP, I think this would probably be the best one. But it seems like all the 60 ones have 1 retreat cost, and all the 70 ones have a 2 retreat cost, and it's just kind of irksome as a result of that. But typically this is the one people still play. It's definitely my preferred one for sure. Just the 1 retreat cost, especially in a deck that needs to conserve switches like big basics. Yeah, the 1 retreat cost is pretty solid. 60 HP can bite you, but I still like it best overall. But it definitely proved to be bad this time, because it dies to Black Kyurem's Slash. And you don't want to be the guy that got knocked out by Black Kyurem's Slash. That's just sort of sad. Sad to see. But that is in fact how I knocked it out. And then I've also got a Ballista, of course, threatening that on the next turn. This Black Kyurem is fresh. It's going to be pretty difficult to knock out in 1 hit. I don't even think Big Basics can do anything like that to Black Kyurem. So yeah, I knock out that Trubbish, go down to 2 prizes. He top decks Super Odd, and that's not going to help him. He actually promotes Mewtwo. He could have, I think, pushed up Virizion, at least used Double Draw, and that would have only been a 1 prize Pokemon. Don't know if he could have came back or not. I think at this point it was still 6-2, so I doubt he would have been able to take enough prizes to do anything. But he just pushed up Mewtwo and allowed me to Ballista for my last 2 prizes. So going into round 5 now, and this was actually the only Darkrai deck I played all day, and it was an almost old school, I guess, deck that I guess won our last Worlds, Darkrai Terrakion. I don't know if it had Mewtwo or not, but it was definitely Darkrai and Terrakion. So, and yes, the no, not that Terra. Retaliate Terrakion. Well, that actually looks pretty cool. The boulders in the foreground. But anyway. So just Darkrai Terrakion, and kind of a slow start for us both. I went first, so I'm able to get a Secret Sword off for 110 on his Darkrai before he can Night Spear me, so that's good. This is just both with manual attach. I don't think he had Dark Patches or anything going on. But of course, the card that makes a lot of people rage, Hypnotoxic Laser, and I stay asleep, and I gotta get a Keldeo. If I can get a second Keldeo, I can double rush in, pull off the second Secret Sword and knock him out and start to go up, and also proceed to remove all his energy in play. He did hit me with a Night Spear, but he had like nothing else. So I had to Juniper away about 7 or 8 cards. I think I still didn't have Blastoise. I had a Shirin that I could have gone for, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to Juniper, you know, if I don't hit one of my other two Keldeo, maybe I'll hit an Ultra Ball, but I got absolutely nothing. Actually, I had already Junipered away both of my Ultra Balls earlier in the game. So, we actually kind of miscounted on Poison here, and I thought I was actually going to die to the Poison, but he reminded me he didn't actually have Verbank in play. Didn't matter too much, I guess. Well, actually, it was kind of huge. It meant that he actually had the Night Spear and waste the extra damage on the Keldeo. But, anyway, so I died to the Night Spear. Later on, I don't know if I ever get Blastoise out or not, but I eventually get a Ballista off. But by that point, my hand is completely dry after that, and he's by this point has got another Darkrai set up. So just fall to Night Spears. I don't think I had a single attack after that. I almost had a Secret Sword at one point, but that was that. I got off a Secret Sword, one Secret Sword, and one Black Ballista. And I think that was the only attacks I pulled off all game. So thank you, Laser, for canceling my second Secret Sword that would have definitely put me up tempo. And then thank you, Juniper, for failing me on getting out the second Keldeo. So we'll go ahead and jump into round 6. And this was Garbodor Big Basics again. And this time I had a Keldeo start and Little Black Kyurem. I think he had like F Moltres or something on his deck box, so I was thinking, the only deck that really hates Moltres is Klinklang, so I wonder if he might have Klinklang. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and throw down the Black Kyurem as opening as well. Turns out he just didn't like Moltres, which, to be honest, I don't like Moltres either, but certainly my least favorite of the 3 birds, because it's fire. Don't like fire. But anyway, I had Keldeo, Little Black Kyurem, and every time I say Little Black Kyurem, I think I'm saying Little Black Sambo. But anyway, unrelated, into Squirtle. So I think this is the first game where I don't go first. He catchers Squirtle, lasers it, but no Verbank, and hits it for, I believe, 30 with Landorus? Yeah, 30 with Landorus, so knocks it up to 40, and puts 30 on Keldeo. And again, kind of a lackluster start from me. I do get a second Keldeo down, decide to go ahead and start energizing it. Then he gets a second turn Garbodor, and this, of course, allows Hammerhead. Ordinarily, Squirtle is kind of protected from Hammerhead due to Shell Shield, but you know, Garbotoxin turns off Shell Shield, so I actually get a Squirtle knocked out on the bench. Derp. So this really stymies me getting Toice out. I don't think I get him out until maybe like turn 7 or so. Way too late at any rate. You know, since I never really get Toice out, I guess that's why Garbodor didn't really bother me too much. So I catch out Garbodor anyway. You know, try to make him pay the price and have a switch, but he does in fact have a switch. And on my next turn, I think I finally actually have to where I can attack. I think about doing like I did 2 rounds ago and doing the whole catcher KO with Scrapper, but he's already got a second Trubbish in play, so I decided to hold on to the Scrapper. I'll knock out this Garbodor. I guess I got a Secret Sword going on, so I'm able to catcher, knock out the Garbodor. It does go back to his hand, and then I'll just hold on to the Scrapper so that when this new Garbodor comes down with the tool, I can nullify that. And that is in fact what I do, and so I'm able to kind of cancel out Garbodor's impact on the game, but you know, it's just kind of too slow to set up. At some point I do get a knockout on Orlando, but I'm too far behind. He's got too much energy built up everywhere, and wind up going down 0-3. And let's see, what are we at now? I believe we are at 3-3. Yeah, we're at 3-3. So you know, I got to win one more, and I'll be at even. I'll meet my quota for the day. So round 7 against David, and I want you guys to go ahead and guess what it is. It's big basics again. But he mentioned that in his previous round he went like 12 turns without a supporter. So and it was actually a very scary opening for me. I opened with Lone Squirtle, and he had Tornadus down. So I was like, okay, this is about one of the easiest dunks you can get. But fortunately for me, his curse continued and he had no supporters. So he just played down his hand to 0. I'm not sure what all he played. I think he switched into Landorus, Hammer-Headed, maybe Ultra Ball from Mewtwo or something like that. But yeah, he had no cards in his hand. I think he probably should have saved at least a few, because since I knew he had no cards in his hand, that means he has no ends. And he's just going to have to top deck his way out of it. So ordinarily, you know, you don't want to do the overextending yourself with too much of a setup. But I decide I'm probably not going to get end, so unless he top decks it. So I'm going to go ahead and overextend. So I Ultra Ball, discard a Skyla, something else, get out Keldeo, go ahead and Heavy Ball for Blastoise, Skyla for, play Skyla for a Candy, and I got a Juniper waiting in the wings next turn. So I'm definitely well set up, and I just go ahead and rush in. He throws out a Eviolite that he top decks onto Landorus and Hammerheads, but can't really do anything since just 30 to Keldeo. And I think I've got a Lightning in my hand as well. So, but I decide not to drop the Lightning. He's got the Eviolite, so if I have to hit him with Secret Sword for a base of 90, that's not actually going to knock him out. I need to do the 110. So, I think I've already attached a Water for turn. So, of course, I get Blastoise out, Juniper, do get 2 Water, and that's enough for the one-shot on Landorus. And from there, I think, yeah, he doesn't get any supporters until really late, when I'm down to already like 1 or 2 prizes. I guess 2, because I think he's got all the X's. Good grief, these trains. I'm sorry, guys. There's not much I can do about it. Yeah, I think he gets a blow through for 30 at some point, and it's pretty much it. It's almost kind of rare to see a blow through for 30, since I guess he didn't get that. I guess he didn't get out Verbank. I'm pretty sure he had Verbank though. But anyway, I tried to get Little Black Kyurem a kill with some novelty action. He was able to keep retreating and try to stay alive in the game, but ultimately he just had nothing going on. So I was able to take my last prizes off that, and I think Keldeo wound up having to do the deed. But anyway, so moving into the last round of the day, and fortunately I'm not like falling asleep or anything. I was quite pleased with my amount of my energy level through the day, despite waking up at 10 p.m. the previous day and then driving 5 hours. And this was against Sean, and he had, well, in the day with the same thing I started the day with, Rayquaza Electric. So I led out with Big Black Kyurem. And once again, let's see, I got twice out, I believe, like turn 3 or so, but he had a Molga, and Molga is, I feel like, a staple in Electric now, partly due to Landorus, and just gets out your Tynamos, and with that he was able to set up Eels pretty quick. I'm able to power up Slash, and I think I do some damage, but he just swarms Tynamos out on the field. Do get Blastoise out, and I do, at some point, I do get to attack with Flash Freeze for 200 and knock out a Keldeo, so Black Kyurem got his due. But by this point he's got 3 Eels in play, and once Rayquaza Electric sets up with 3 Eels, Skyro, and 2 Rayquazas with a fire on them, there's not much you can do about it. Is that actually the cracked ice holofoil? I can't quite tell on this one. Kind of looks like it might be, like, right here. Anyway, but yeah, there's not much you can do about Rayquaza after that. Anyway, so that went down 0-3, so looky, finished 4-4, exactly as I planned. So that was it. After that, you guys will probably be very happy to hear about this news. There were vendors on site, so I was able to make purchase of 4 Articuno EX, and I went in with one of my friends from League, and they had like, it was like a bin of like a bunch of reverses and non-meta rares that was like either $1 each or like 10 for $5, so 50 cents each. So we were able to go in combo on that, and I was actually able to pick up 4 Blissey. So you guys know what that means. Looking ahead to Battle Roads, we're gonna be able to play 2 of the favored decks on this channel. I guess the only one I've played so far is Healy Keldeo. Everyone seems to love this deck. So I got my Blissies. They also had Keldeo 10s on sale for like $10, although they were 12 when I got them, but still considerably cheaper than normal. So I was able to get. We got Keldeos, we got Blissies, so we're gonna be able to play some Healy Keldeo at Battle Roads and have some fun. So hopefully you guys will look forward to that. I guess just some closing remarks for the rest. Yeah, drive home was I finally got to eat at some point. I got to eat some real food besides crackers. And I got all jittery. What are these? These are calories. These are what you get when you eat food. So there was that. I got semi-lost on the way home, but you know, overall a great time from first regional since 2005. You know, even though I wound up 4-4, I felt like the deck did pretty well. You know, had some dead hands here and there. Overall, didn't really miss. I guess it's kind of impossible for me to miss Tropical Beach when I never used it at all. But you know, I was pretty satisfied with my list. I felt I ran pretty well. Wasn't really cursing luck or anything at that point, except maybe Hypnotoxic Laser Flips once or twice. That would have been about it. But overall, I was pretty satisfied with the deck. Had a great time. And yeah, I don't think I would have played anything else. You know, at least I got to go to a tournament and do adequately well with the Blastoise, regardless of record. Most of the games were pretty close. You know, there were one or two where I just completely failed to get set up, but you know, good games all around. Had a great time. Very, very well ran event. My props to who was the gym leader Blaine, I think was the not head judge, organizer, I guess. We had a lot of the Poke Gym staff on there, which was pretty nice. Very well ran, I must say. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up, and that pretty much wraps it up for the Black White through Plasma Storm format. So we got Plasma Freeze coming out, pre-releases I believe next week, and now hopefully we'll also have other vids go up on the channel too. We got another series coming up pretty soon if my Diamond Brother came and can never get me the cards traded over. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed Kooper talking. That seems to be a fairly decently popular thing. So yeah, hopefully the camcorder will return for next time. If I can find it, hopefully we'll see. But again, thanks for watching, and Turtle Power, and later days.